Are you excited this morning?
Amen.
Okay. I don't know about you, but I have been reflecting on the year that has gone by, and the time is just going so fast. When the Bible speaks of quickening of time, it is true. The time as we see and as we're living in this age is literally paced up. Just the other day we were celebrating the new year, and then there was a movement and things happened, and all of a sudden the year is gone. How many of you feel the same way? It's crazy. So there is surely quickening of time. Some of us are getting older much faster, and some of us are getting younger than much faster. But as I was meditating, and I was just wondering and just thinking with these thoughts of what have I achieved and what have I done and where have I come from where I was from last year. And I was very grateful to the Lord for a lot of things. And one of the things that I was very grateful that God will allow us to see things and take us into places and give us different perspective. And as I was meditating and as I was thinking on those things, and I struggled to digest a couple of things, because some of the challenges that we see in the modern age, or the modern Christianity I would call it, are becoming worse and worse. And I pray that today I'll be able to depart something in your spirit as you prepare yourself for the next decade or 2020. I observe that we are people who have a form of religion, but we lack substance. We lack the depth in our journey with God. We live in a very hyped up culture of make-believe, and we have these branded life, because we are very prone to follow people who are a brand or who are a celebrity. And even in our faith system, somehow we have this image of people and we follow them, not even realizing what kind of life they live in. And these days, this year I have also learned a lot of the modern big brands in Christian faith have hired the secular marketing guy to market their ministry. Some of these guys don't even have the church of their own, but they have big names. And we, like thousands of the other people, just follow these guys. It's shocking and it's frightening when I see these things. Unfortunately, many are deceived. So we follow a very hyped up culture. We follow the trends, we follow the brands, and we bring that culture into faith as well. And we have this form of knowledge. And because we have this knowledge at our footstep, we have on the phones, we see it on the TV, and we can listen to all the sermons and teachings from all over the world. People have built up this sense of pride that they know it better. Are you with me? And as a minister and as a preacher, if your sermon does not have these Facebook or Twitter savvy quotes, then you are literally failing. The churches are becoming empty, because it's not because the preachers have drifted away from the gospel. It's just people now have become very hyped up about Christian faith, and many of the pastors don't know how to keep up with the pace. Are you with me? And especially the elderly guys, and I really feel for them. Some of them don't even know how to operate Facebook. And now we have a generation sitting in the church that want their church to be on Facebook. Today I want to introduce to you a brand new concept. And the concept is Jellyfish Christianity. Everybody said jellyfish. And the Lord gave me this vivid image, a vision of jellyfish in this week. And I struggled to absorb it until 2 days ago. And it hit me so hard. Jellyfish are colorful and they're mesmerizing. Yet they are dangerous. They can attract you. They glow in the dark and they are very, very enticing. But they are dangerous. Jellyfish lack substance because they are made up 98% of water. They don't have substance. When I say they don't have substance, it means they don't have brain, they don't have heart, they don't have bone, head, or any organ. And not only that, they also don't have fins and they don't have tails. They lack substance. But they are gracious, they are beautiful, they're mesmerizing, they're enticing, and they're one of the deadliest creatures upon the earth. And the form of Christianity we find these days, or the form of believers we see in the world, are jellyfish Christians. There is no substance in them. Yet there is glamour and glitz and colorfulness and enticement. But no substance, no backbone, no heart, no brain to reason, no fins, no tail. Did you know that jellyfish can't swim? They are in the ocean, but they cannot swim. Because they don't have fins and they don't have tails. They have a movement. But they're only dependent on the currents of the ocean. They don't have a movement where they can swim to a destination where they need to be. They are very much dependent on the movement of the current. And that's why in hundreds they can all of a sudden end up in a shore. And you wake up in the morning and say this, and there's a news that there's hundreds of jellyfish on the beach. Why? Because they are very much dependent on the current. And if the current takes them to the shore, they have no control over it because they don't know how to swim. They don't have the backbone. They can't fight it. They have this movement, but they have no control, and they just fall part of every current, every wave that comes in. And that's what's happening with Christianity. Every kind of waving just floats in the Christians. Every kind of current, we just get into it. And sometime when we have the church chat group, some of you should quote Quran and Bhagavad Gita. Do you even know that? Because you saw a fancy quote, somebody forwarded it to you, and you will just put it in a public chat, thinking it's a very good Christian quote. Meanwhile, it's coming from a different kind of faith. We lack substance. Like jellyfish, we don't have the spiritual brains to reason, to think. Like jellyfish, we don't have the backbone to stand. Like jellyfish, there is no heart for us to have some kind of sense of belongings or emotions or zeal for the things of God. Jellyfish, they just float around and they wait for the current. They just float around. They blend in with the environment so easily. Sometimes they're right in the water, but you can't even see them. because they blend in with the environment. Sometimes they go into a colorful reef and all of a sudden their color starts to change because they blend in with the environment. Some of you have been working at your workplaces, but people still don't know that you are a Christian because you're so good to blend in. Muslims will stand out, Hindus will stand out, but you will never find Christians standing out in a secular environment because we have become jellyfish Christians. We know how to blend in. We just know how to change colors. We just know how to change talks. Some of us, if we hear you on the weekdays at workplace, we wouldn't even know it's you because your language, your persona, everything is different about you. We have this blended Christianity. We float around and we know how to blend with the environment. Rolling gently in this current, then the next current's coming on Sunday, then we're rolling gently into that current. Monday comes, there's a different current coming in, we roll gently into that, and we keep moving, but we don't have the movement, the vision, the heart, and the mind of our own. We have become jellyfish. When they wash up into a shore, they can just disappear after a few hours. Why? Because they're made up of 98% water, so their body evaporates. And a jellyfish that can be this size, by the time you reach it in an hour, will be shrunk to this. Gone. All the water is gone. They just floated in. They cannot survive the hostility. And that's what has happened with the Christian faith. We get offended like this. We get into a shore and it's not something comfortable, our environment, and there we are, spiritually dead and gone. We don't know how to take even discipline and correction in the church environment anymore. We made up this soft jelly water and everything is so mesmerizing and colorful, but let us just confront the little bit hostility and the opposition and the challenge. All our faith just goes and just evaporates in the sky and is gone and left nothing of us. Just a small speck that people come, oh, there's jellyfish all dried up. Because it doesn't have substance. Because it doesn't have substance, it has no fight within it. And many of you are losing your battles because there is no spiritual substance in you. You're struggling a battle with addiction. You're struggling a battle at home. You're trying to keep peace with things, but you're losing your battle because there is no substance. Harsh environment can literally cripple you off from your faith. That's how fragile the Christianity has become. Everything offends us. Everything. We'll look for small things, small words. We're sitting in the presence of God, but we will have this mind. What next is going to happen? How that sister is dressed up? What did pastor say? Why would he use that word? And we will get offended by small, petty things because there is no substance in us. Now, their bodies are so thin. They can be oxygenated solely by the flow. That's why they have that move. Because they're breathing. And they absorb the oxygen into their cells, into their bodies. And the current also provides that breathing, that oxygen for them wherever they go. And if they are not in the flow, it becomes harder for them to live. Are you with me? There's so much dependent on things. So there's a constant movement of busyness in a jellyfish life. Because the busyness keeps them alive all the time. That's how they breathe. They're sucking the oxygen with their bodies because they don't have nose. They don't have any organ. So the movement is, I'm busy all the time. I'm busy all the time. I'm busy doing nothing all the time. And if they stop being busy, they can die, because that's how they absorb the oxygen. And some of you have loaded yourself with so much things, and you think that you're living life. You are dreaming. You want to do this and you want to do that so you can feel alive. And you're so busy that there is no time that you have even for the house of God or for the work of God, because you are just floating and breathing and busy sucking the oxygen. Meanwhile, you're achieving nothing. And that's why when a lot of people, when they're not working, they don't know what to do with themselves. Because all their life they have been so busy and busy and busy in the cycles and flapping all around from one current to another. Once they don't have that environment anymore, they don't know how to survive, because jellyfish cannot survive in a lake. Because lake is too calm, it's too peaceful. It cannot survive because it would not have the opportunity to have the movement that it needs to breathe. Are you with me? But it's in the stillness of time, it's in the rest of God where God speaks to his people. And we often don't even have the time to read the Bible because we are so busy people. We're floating around with every kind of current, trying to live a life, yet we are dreaming while the life passes us by. Are you with me? And let me say this. Most of these waves that come your ways and the currents that you are surviving, and those currents can be sinful habits in your life. And they keep you afloat. There can be struggles and challenges, and they keep you afloat, and you feel that you reach there, but you're not. You're far from it. Some of you need to resist the flow that comes in your way. Not everything that is directed towards you is yours. You have the choice. There's a flow of friends that you know that you need to avoid. You just change. You don't become part of that current and float around with that now. Some of the flows that come to you, they are not of God, and sometimes they can be the best of opportunities, and they just come as a current, as a wave towards you. You don't need to just fall into the trap, because that can make you a prisoner of the wave. Many of you are like the prisoner of the current, a prisoner of the wave. But the wave is so strong now, and you don't have the backbone to fight it. You don't know how to get out of that current, and it just takes you wherever it wants you, like a jellyfish. It has become too strong because you had an opportunity to not fall part of it. But you decided you are. There are waves of temptation and sin and carnality. Even the temptations of pride and self-indulgence. Some of us are married to our phones. We want to check it all the time. We're so self-consumed. Some of you need the mirror every hour to look at yourself. There are a lot of things that I came in when I started to search about them. It was just fascinating. I won't share everything with you, but there's a couple of things I want to highlight. One of that is they have a external epidermis, and then they have an internal gastrodermis. And they have only one hole in the whole body, and that is the mouth. But it's the same hole that they also use to expel waste. So they eat from the same place and they poop from the same place. Let me not go deeper into that, okay? They consume food and they expel waste from the same mouth. Double standard life. Double standard Christianity. All religious and all exciting and hallelujah and praise God, but with the same mouth, the hatred and bitterness and swearing and ungodly things come out. Like a jellyfish. Are you with me? Like a jellyfish. Other fascinating facts, amongst many other, is that jellyfish reproduce sexually and sexually. What is a sexually? Without being intimate. And when they are ready to produce, or when they want to produce, they just release the sperm and egg in the water. And it looks for a smooth surface. And they are gone. These eggs germinate. They call them jelly polyps. These jelly polyps like a string of germinating eggs, and what happens, they actually attach themselves to a smooth surface in a reef. And they form a word, scientists call it a scar. It looks like a crack in the reef, but it's a string of polyps, of jellyfish, eggs that are germinating. Everybody says scar. It's shocking for me that they will call it a scar, because it looks like a scar when these eggs, the string of eggs, is laying on a surface that is smooth. It looks like a crack. And they can remain in that scar or a wound condition or look alike for years without eggs being hatched. It's shocking that the form that the shape that they form in the lay the eggs are like a shape of a hurt, of a scar. But it's a form, it's a shape that will produce many like what they are. Give me your attention now. Jellyfish Christianity, where the scars and the wounds that the Christians have multiply as well. When we are offended, we want everybody to be offended. So we form a shape of a wound and a scar, while the eggs are germinating, because we want that wound, that scar to produce. And what happens now? It can carry on for years. They don't have months or a particular age for these eggs to hatch. Those eggs can pretend like a scar or a crack for years before they hatch. One of the phenomena about this creature And we can keep the hurt and the scars and the pain in our hearts, and we keep germinating them, and we keep adding others to our hurt, to our wound, until we have an army of hurt and bitter and wounded people. Jellyfish mentality. Are you with me? This germinating process is caused by the stress. They call it the stress. When they are stressed, that's what they do. They latch themselves into a smooth surface, a healthy environment, but they continue to breed in their bitterness. Hallelujah. Environment doesn't change them, they just blend into it. Are you with me? Environment doesn't change people, they just blend into it. Unless the Lord does something in their lives. Are you with me? One of the fascinating things, and you all know about it, that they glow in the dark. How many of you enjoy that? It's a beautiful scene, isn't it? I think we went to a couple of times aquariums. I took most pictures of the jellyfish than any other creatures. The second one was shark, actually. Shark has its own presence. Now, it's because the glow, and especially in King Shaka in Durban, they have this whole room of jellyfish, and it's very dark. Because they know that if they can create a dark environment, these creatures will glow. And that's what happens. They created a perfect dark environment in those rooms for these creatures to naturally glow in the dark. You know why they glow in the dark? When the dark comes in, they glow in the dark because that's a defense system. And it alerts them to be ready for the attack as well. Secondly, they glow in the dark to entice the prey. Humans get enticed with that beauty. Imagine the creatures running towards that beautiful glow, light, blue and yellow and green and orange and different various lights. What was the purpose? To draw the prey. Are you with me? Because their sting is one of the most venomous. They draw people, and that's what's happening in the modern Christianity and what we see in the world today. They entice people into this glorious dream. And I thank God we have a very strong structure. But within the church in South Africa, it's shocking what's happening. Where you have ministers who are preying on poor innocent people, taking the monies, taking their wealth and retirement. And it's shocking how these mega rich, some of these guys are flying with jets while the congregation that they're pastoring are still poor. They entice. Are you with me? They are dangerous. Everybody said jellyfish are dangerous. Do you know that they are also one of the only creatures that can sting you after they are dead? I'm giving you some beach lessons. You guys are going to beach. I'm giving you some nice beach lessons today. There was a phenomenon that happened in 2010. Over 150 beachgoers were stung by dead jellyfish. Their carcass still has the venom in it. They're dead and gone, but they can still be dangerous. Don't be fooled by their beauty, because it's deadly. Amen? Don't be fooled by the religious talk of people, and they tell you what they have done and how they have done and how many they have raised and whatever it is, because it's all fake. Are you with me? Don't be fooled by people who talk all Christians and look like Christians, because it's all disguise. Because we have come to a faith in this era, it's like a jellyfish faith. Enticing and appealing, but it lacks substance. Going no way. Our lives cannot be afloat. We are part of a movement of God. And we are called fish, not jellyfish. We are called fish that have a backbone and have a strong to even swim against the current. The current that can come our way, and we know it's not a godly current, and we are going to resist with every part of our being. And we do that because we are called to stand out and not fall part of. We are called to carry the substance. And the only way you can have a substance, and I'm not talking about the decoration of an outer side of you. I'm not talking about the good suit and the clothes and the shoes and how you smell, because you can be all glowing in the dark but you're still a jellyfish. I'm not talking about the outer beauty. I'm talking about the inner substance. Inner substance. And that inner substance can only come when Jesus is the center of your life. Are you with me? We are not called to float around. We are not called to be part of every wave and every current. We must strive for substance. We must strive for substance. If we want to live a Christian, as a Christian with a Christ-centered life. Are you with me? When we talk about the Christ-centered life, we talk about your personal commitment to Christ Himself. Your life that is focused on the Lord. Every decision, at the core of every human decision is a motive. Every decision that you make, it has a motivation behind it. Are you with me? Some people are motivated by the quest for pleasure and money. So they like glitz and glamour. They want to be seen with certain kind of people because they have this quest. They are motivated to do certain things because they want to reach somewhere. So they have this quest and they have this desire for pleasure and they have this desire for money. Every core of every human decision is there somewhere there is a motivation behind it, and some motivation is the quest for money and power and pleasure. Then there are those who have a desire. They live a life which is centered on a goal, on a job, even on their families. And these things become the center of their lives, and they live to do all that. They wake up in the morning and they find their purpose in going to work, coming back home and doing the house chores and spending time with the family, and they fall part of that routine. That's how they live. They find their purpose in such things. There's nothing wrong such stuff. But why I'm highlighting this is, whatever is the center of your life becomes your God. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's a job, it's a goal, it's a passion, it's a purpose in your life. Whatever, even if it's a family. Some of us have made our families our gods, our spouses, our children as our gods, our jobs, our businesses as our gods. whatever is the motivation that keeping you all zealous about things is your God. You must understand that human heart was designed for worship. And if you don't worship God, you are going to end up worshiping something else. And when I talk about worship, I'm not talking about a Sunday Christianity. I'm not talking about you coming maybe once a week, another day to the church for something that you're involved in. I'm talking about a Christ-centered life. Human heart was created to worship. And if you don't have a worship-centric life, then you are worshiping something if it's not God. And my question to you is, if you are created to worship, then what are you worshiping and who are you worshiping? Or are you like a jellyfish just falling part of everything that is happening? And you don't even know what you're worshiping anymore. Who are you committed? Who is the center of your focus and who are you worshiping? I know we don't call ourselves as idolatrous because we are the Christians. But let me just share with you what idolatry is. Idolatry is treating the created like the creator. What is created? Like the creator. Some of our phones have become our idols. So what is idolatry? Treating the created like the creator. Anything, listen to me very carefully. Anything that galvanizes your passion, your zeal, your heart, your attention, your focus, and consumes your energy, your time, your resources, your emotions, and dictates your life is your God. Anything that galvanizes your passion, what are you passionate about? Anything that galvanizes your zeal, your heart, where is your heart? Your attention, who gets your attention the most? Your focus, where is your focus at all time? What consumes your time? What consumes your resources? What consumes your emotions? Whatever it is your God. Now tell me, is God your God? Or we just like the jellyfish floating around without a substance, having a form of godliness but denying the power of it. Ask your neighbor, who's your God? Is it the God of heaven that you worship? Is He the priority? Is He the focus, the passion, and the quest in your life? Who are you worshiping? Are you worshiping the creation than the creator? And I can tell you this, idols can be in different forms and shapes. Whatever is the focus is your idol. Whatever consumes your time, your passion, your zeal, your resources is your idol. Money can be an idol. Money has become idol for a lot of people. And I'm not against the jobs, I'm not against you pursuing your dream, but when it drifts you away from your responsibilities, from serving God, then it is your idol. If it drifts you away from your family, then it is an idol. It's not because you have it, it's because you have compromised your ways to get to it. And that's why it is your idol. Turn your Bibles with me to Matthew chapter 4. Matthew chapter 4 verse 10. This is Jesus talking to Satan. Jesus said to him, "Go, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and only him, and him only you shall serve." You shall worship the Lord your God, and only him you shall serve. And, not or, and. When you look at "and," the word is a conjunction. It means it puts together what he said before with the after, and there is no breaking in between. They are one. So when he says that you shall worship the Lord your God and him only you shall serve, it means that worship is tied up with your service. Some of you come to worship every Sunday, but you don't have a heart to serve. Is your worship authentic? Because if you worship, you shall be serving the Lord. You cannot separate the both. Where is your focus? Where is your passion? Where is your commitment? Where is your devotion? Because you can talk about God with your lips. But what are you serving? People can talk. Faith without work is dead. Because it's not your lip talk. It's what you are serving and who you are serving actually you worshiping. Not who you're talking about, because you can talk about anybody. You can talk about praises about the Hollywood stars. And I've seen people, oh, his performance is brilliant in that movie. That is an act of adoration, a praise, a worship. Anybody can adore anyone. Anybody can worship and praise anybody. Oh, God is just falling part of a celebrity in Hollywood. Are you with me? Because it's not what you say will be identified as a worship. Not you just singing a song, because you can switch on a radio and you're driving and it can be a secular song and it just is your tune and you'll start to dance and sing along. It's not what you're singing, but it's what you're serving will determine who you're worshiping. Are you with me? So who are you serving? Because whatever and whoever you are serving, actually you're worshiping them. Jellyfish Christianity condones happy clappy words because they float around those words to entice the prey, but they are not involved in doing anything because they don't even have hands or feet or heart or brain. They have nothing to offer. They lack the coloring, they lack the glitz and glamour, but they have a mouth, but they don't have the bones to do any work. And that's why I'm saying the Christianity that we live in is a jellyfish Christianity. We have talkers, but we don't have doers. We see things that are not right, but dare not ask us to get involved. We know the need in the church for certain things, dare not ask us. We are too busy. Even if we're serving in a department, we are too busy. Jellyfish. We have idols. They take our focus. They take our passion. They take our zeal. Ask me to come to the worship service and I will sing and praise, but don't ask me to get involved because I have nothing to offer. I don't have feet. I don't have hand. I'm just floating around. I have nothing to offer. Jellyfish. Are you with me? Your worship is tied up with your service. Your worship is measured by the amount of time, money, and emotional energy expended. It's not just your words. Do you still love me? Our gods can be identified by the level of passionate commitment they evoke in us. Let me repeat that. Our gods can be identified by the passionate commitment they invoke in us. Like you're passionate about your rugby. I wish we can have that kind of passion for the work of God, that we can serve Him, because we're not serving a man. We're not serving an institution. We're serving who? We're serving the Lord. So our gods can be identified by the level of passionate commitment they evoke in us. And after a while, we begin to resemble them. So you see the t-shirts of Springbok and All Blacks, because we want to resemble our gods. Because we want to resemble our gods. We want to resemble who we love and we want to imitate them. That's why whenever there's a fashion trend, they will put this fancy lady or sometime a celebrity, because everybody wants to imitate a celebrity. Our gods, they will be identified by the level of passionate commitment they invoke in us. And that's what happens in us. Whatever and whoever you're worshiping, you will end up resembling them. And that's why the Bible will also say that we must conform to His image. If we are worshiping Him, then we must serve Him. And if we serve Him, we become like Him. Because serving Him and resembling Him will invoke in us a passionate commitment to what He's asking us to do. And we cannot be a jellyfish Christian anymore. A Christ-centered life will focus on Him. Our desire will be to be like Him. You know, it amazes me, and I know we have this different kind of mindset in the West. But when you look at the disciples of Jesus, they left their families and their houses. We can't do that anymore. But it showed a passionate commitment that they had towards Him. That they will leave everything aside because He became the focus and the center of their lives. Nothing else was more important than a call for duty in the field. Paul desired, and he said that in Philippians chapter 3 verse 10. He says, I want to know Him. I want to know Christ, and I want to know you. I want to know Him in the power of His resurrection and in the fellowship of His suffering. So he says that he desired to know Him. And I can tell you this. You can write a whole New Testament and you can preach the best of the sermons and you can tell me that you have served the Lord all your life. But I want to say this to you. You haven't known Him fully yet. We will continue to see His glory next level even as we advance in our age. Some of us feel we have reached, and we have that kind of attitude as well in the ministry, where nobody must tell us what must be done and how must be done. We must dictate to them our time, our availability, and how we want to do things. My brother, we need to know the Lord. Are you with me? Because if we know Him, then He becomes the center of everything. Everything else will take a second place. And the focus of our lives will be to glorify the Lord. Then we will have the capacity to fight the currents if He's the center. Then you will be able to identify. And I'm talking, we have this religious mindset that I believe is the biggest hindrance in the church. Pharisees. And they haven't left the church because they didn't leave the early church as well. They were converted, but they caused a lot of chaos in the church. So you have this religious mindset. that often tells us what to do, and they know the law, they know the word, they know how to manipulate things to get what they want out of every situation. And as a church, I want us to be Christ-centered. Are you with me? Because if we are anchored in Him, then we have the substance. Hallelujah. Are you with me? Then we have the courage to stand. Then we have the courage to reason. Then we have courage to have passion and compassion. Then we have the courage to have zeal for the work of God. Because the religious mindset, it strives for supremacy and attention and glory based upon performance. And we're not looking for performance. The people want to do things because they want to show things. Many of us desiring to do things in certain light so people can see us that we're serving God. That's not the point. We want to serve Him because we love Him, and we want to serve Him because we worship Him, and our worship is not complete without serving Him. We're not going to fall part of a movement that is going around that doesn't have any substance in it, and it only got mouth and lip service. But we have backbone, we got everything to offer, and we will do everything to serve this God whom we love. Turn your Bible with me to Joshua chapter 24, verse 15. If it is unacceptable in your sight to serve the Lord, choose for yourself this day whom you will serve. Whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you live. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. You know how many times he mentions the word serve in this one scripture while he makes this statement? Because the worship was hidden in the service. And some of us, we don't have many words. But if your life is Christ-centered, and you have the substance in you, then you will desire to serve. And that's what he was saying to the Israelites. He says, and some of the translation says, whom your fathers worshipped on the other side of the river. So there he's saying, he says, I don't know about you, but I want to serve the Lord. It means I want to get my hands dirty. I want to get involved. I want to have a passionate commitment to the work of the Lord, because I want to show that I'm not just doing a lip service on Sunday morning. And he says, me and my family, we will serve the Lord. Even if it's going to take us to fight battles, we will be ready to fight battles, because that's what Joshua did. It was not just playing tambourine and blowing the trumpet. There was time where they had to build. There was time where they had to fight wars, and they had to serve the Lord in every manner. And many times they bled, they were dirty, and they were despised, but they continued to serve the Lord. Why? Because it was not only a lip service. Your worship without serving the Lord is not complete, it's not authentic. And if that's the case, then you are just a jellyfish. And I pray that we will come out of that mentality this morning, even as we prepare ourselves for the next year, that we will have a Christ-centered life, that we will work on building substance within us. Are you with me? That we will not be people who are just floating around and busy, too busy for God. But our lip service will not only be a lip service, but our hands will be dirty. our feet will be on the movement in serving God. If there's a time to build, we are ready to build. If there's a time to fight, we are ready to fight. If there's a time for us to do things, we will never be busy for the Lord. Each one of you are gifted. Each one of you. And that's why my desire for us is not be people floating around and wasting our gifts and time by time becoming like a exciting light and glowing in the dark to just make us happy that we are beautiful. No. There is more to you than glowing in the dark. There's more to you than floating around. There's more to you than offering lip service, because God has invested gifts and talents, and I know in my heart that there's so much that you can offer. And not unto pastor or to the church, but in the kingdom, there's so much that you can offer. But our passion, our zeal, our focus is in the wrong places, and we're wasting our times. We have created our own dummy gods. Whereas the God of heavens is looking at us and looking at the gifts and the talents and the vision and the call upon our lives and waiting on us and saying, come out of that current. You're not a jellyfish. Don't pretend to be like a jellyfish. I have called you to be a fisher of men and women. Don't fall part of every current. Amen? Amen. Jellyfish produce without intimacy. I highlighted that earlier, that they just release their eggs and sperms and that's it, then they can forget about it. They don't even nurture their young. They don't have that discipline, they don't have that kind of life. And I want to say this to you. Fruits that are produced without the intimacy, you won't have attachment to them or devotion to them. And that's what happens with jellyfish. Because those eggs can germinate for years until they're released out of that stress and that shape of scar. And then the jellyfish will pop up. But because those jellyfish, they came out without an intimacy, the mother has no attachment or passion or compassion for them. There's no devotion attached. And many of us are not intimate with God. And that's why we don't feel that we need to be devoted to Him. And that's why we're so busy, and that's why we don't feel in our heart that we need to give more, we need to serve more, we need to get involved more, we need to serve the Lord. Because there's no intimacy. And when the intimacy is missing, then the devotion is missing. Then the commitment is missing. Jellyfish. Amen? Amen. Stand on your feet this morning.